Ms. Carbo, could you please indicate to the jury how the control positioned you?
So this blue X right here marks the position Judy Concha was standing in. And this red X right here marks where I was standing. And this yellow X marks where Nick Aldridge was standing. These are the positions Judy Concha put us in.
At any point during the demonstration, did you move from the spot?
No, never. I follow rules.
And why did you trust Control's position?
I thought I was in compassion. I went to a gun safety. I went to get a gun safety course. I thought I was in safe.
And what happened when True Control demonstrated how to use the gun?
We were informed that he was going to take the first shot. We were focusing on like the bullet was going and we were told to look at how many bullets and aim the gun, which is what we need to know. And then the first shot went off, and after that, I noticed probably it seems like a twitch or a flinch, and then all of a sudden, gun was aimed at me, and a second gunshot went off, and I was shocked. I was in pain. I immediately fell to the floor, and I was covered in my own blood. Objection, Your Honor. Some more presidential control there.
I think that the inquiry is whether or not as to what happened. Are you saying that it's too much narrative at this particular point in time?
This witness just mentioned that she was covered in her own blood, and I believe that testimony like that can highly prejudice.
Yeah, that's a little excessive. They're part of the testimony distributed.
Right.
Ms. Carbo, what was the immediate aftermath? What was your understanding of this situation?
I was shocked by Judy Concha.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay.
And would also like to request that exhibits 2B and 15A be published to the jury.
Thank you.
Ms. Carbo, so you came to Shooting Star on May 14th? That's right, the first time. And on that meeting, you met with Scholar Coleman. You specified to Scholar Coleman that you were a beginner. Yes, because I was. And Coleman recommended you the Glock 22? Yes, that is much. You also specified that you wanted to learn more about safe gun handling and storage? Yes, I asked Ms. Coleman for the gun safety course. And Coleman spent an hour with you explaining gun handling and storage. Well, we also had form documents so that I got it. Yes, Coleman gave you government forms to fill out that you would need to own a gun. Yes, that is correct. And Coleman explained to you the step-by-step process that you would need to know to legally own a gun in Ontario. That is correct. You would admit that you found this helpful. Yes, at the time. And before you even left the store that day, Scholar Coleman ensured to you that you would get your safety training that you deserve. I was told that I was used to come back into it. Let's talk about May 28th, 2 weeks. So you came back 2 weeks later, ready to purchase your firearm? That is correct. And Coleman had you recertify the government forms from before? That is correct. Coleman ran a background check on you? That is correct. Well, I presume they did. I wasn't there and they didn't background check. And Coleman had you sign a waiver? That's you would recognize this waiver in court today? Yes, I would. Let the record reflect on approaching the opposing counsel before we can mark as a given Senate. May I approach the witness? This is the waiver you signed, correct?
Also, you have a courtesy copy of the book.
Yes, Your Honor. This is the waiver you signed, correct? And it is a fair and accurate copy,
Yes, it is.
and it hasn't been altered in any way.
No.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves to enter in Exhibit 7.
Objection found.
Yes, Your Honor, we are correct as to misleading the jury in Rule 403.
And what is misleading about it?
Your Honor, the defense is presenting this document to demonstrate to the jury that Ms. Carlo assumed the risk, but according to the case law of McAndrew versus Guard skydiving adventures, liability waivers are not allowed to serve to bar a plaintiff's negligence claim. It does not prove that the witness assumed the risk, and therefore it is misleading the jury into believing that this waiver necessarily proves assumption of risk.
It's, that's overruled. What doesn't find that reaching that kind of conclusion, we'll see what the counsel will present as additional evidence on the issue of assumption of risk. But she in fact signed this waiver, and she admitted it. So overruled.
Ms. Carbo, can I direct your attention to bullet point number 2? And I want you to read up until the first sentence. So start at I am.
I am fully aware of the risks and hazards connected with being on the premises and participation in the government. I am fully aware that there may be risks and hazards unknown to me connected with being on the premises and participating in the government. And I hereby elect to voluntarily participate in the government to enter upon the above paying premises and engage in activities with knowing that conditions may be hazardous or may become hazardous and dangerous to me and my property.
Thank you. You read and signed this waiver before entering the language?
That is correct.
Shooting Star made you aware of the risk of loss.
That is correct. But to my understanding, I signed this waiver so I could get
Thank you, Ms. Carbo.
into that government.
Thank you, Ms. Carbo. I'm asking yes or no question. Yes or no, Shooting Star made you aware of the risk of loss.
Yes.
Shooting Star made you aware of the risk of injury.
Yes.
And Shooting Star even made you aware of the risk of death.
Yes, but I wanted this gun to be honest, and I wouldn't have gotten that if I didn't sign
Thank you,
the
Ms.
waiver.
Carbo. So Drew Cantrell led you to the range for your lesson after starting on the issues. And she handed you goggles and earmuffs.
Yes, that's
And she began telling you basic safety rules.
yes.
She even demonstrated these rules for you. And you found this helpful.
Yes, I did.
Let's move to the events after May 20th. You've discussed your opinions on guns recently.
I have. They're not irrelevant.
You want to respond?
Your Honor, if you let me continue, I will move to the witness, asking the witness about her opinions on guns, and she will admit to testifying for gun bans, which is
Well, I want you to respond to the issue of relevance. So, how is this relevant?
so. Relevance is when a piece of evidence has a ability to make a fact more or less probable. And if you let me continue with this testimony, this is laying foundation for
Well, I
bans.
may, so counsel said that her expression of her opinion on guns is not relevant to this case. And I want you to explain why her expression of her opinion on guns is relevant to this particular case at all.
So when she expresses her opinions on guns, it is going to lay the foundation for bias against guns. And bias is always relevant. The question, this is just the laying foundation for my further question.
I don't know whether that's relevant to the case of negligence that she had brought against the defendant. So I'm going to sustain the objection.
Hang on. You lobby for gun bans.
They're not irrelevant.
Lobbying for gun bans clearly would make the fact that Justice Carbo has a bias against guns making it more likely that she is biased in pursuing this case with Shooting Star, a gun seller.
Now, so I'll let you pursue that, but this is, this. I'm limited you to 1 or 2 questions. Go ahead.
You lobby for gun bans, correct?
Yes, I do. I want to do something.
And you've raised $100,000 in lobbying for these gun bans.
Yes, and it goes with gun violence.
No further questions. Gentlemen.
Ms. Carbone, why did you sign that liability waiver? I signed it because, to my understanding, that if I did not sign this waiver, I would not have gotten my gun safety course. And that is the whole reason I went to Shooting Star gun vote, is because of that gun safety course. And if I did not sign this waiver, I wouldn't have stepped foot in that range. I would have been unsafe. I would have had a gun with no experience. So I needed that gun safety course. Were there any risks that you were not made aware of in this document? No, I read it. During the demonstration, how many rules did you touch on the room? A few, like never in the gun person unless you can to shoot them, and probably like don't have a loaded gun and just few rules. Did your control mention any rules about how you safety about the safety mechanisms of that? Well, they demonstrated how to hold and use them. What other questions were?
Council, any questions?
No request, Your Honor.
Thank you. Yes. Take your time. Sure, if you need more time. Yeah, just a minute. A couple more minutes. Thank you. All right. Ready? Okay.
Your Honor, at this time, thanks for like to call Ross and Lewis to this.
Number you're under oath.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Please.
Good afternoon. Would you please state your name for the court?
Hi, my name is Ross Hernandez.
Now let's look a little bit at your background. Where do you live?
I live in West Pascal, Ontario, born and raised.
And what do you do for a living?
I run a small business. It's an art studio and print shop. Graphic design is my passion.
And when did you open this business?
I opened it in 2012, but I've loved the job that I do ever since middle school. I've been dreaming of having my own business like that.
So let's look at your relationship with the case. How do you know Shooting Star Gun Club?
Shooting Star is located in the same strip mall that my business is located in, and I go there pretty frequently. They've got a cafe and bar inside called Courtroom that I go to for lunch when I don't want to have to drive.
How frequently would you say that you visit Shooting Tavern?
I'd say I visit about 4 times a week, so pretty regularly.
And what do you typically do there?
Well, normally when I go there, I see my friends, I eat lunch, and sometimes I'll even check out the range and watch people shoot.
Do you know any of the employees there?
Yes, I do, and I also happen to know the boss, Skylar Coleman. We're pretty good friends, and we talk pretty often.
What do you two talk about?
Well, beyond just the regular rumor mill of the strip mall that we both have business at, we also talk about business matters. I asked them for advice. Recently, they've had a really successful advertising campaign that I asked them for advice.
And would you recognize this advertising campaign if you were to see it tonight?
Yes, I recognize this advertisement.
Let the record reflect I'm showing the opposing counsel an unmarked copy of Exhibit 22. Approaching the witness at the same. Would Your Honor like a courtesy copy? Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
And would you say it's a fair and accurate representation of Exhibit 22?
Yes, I will.
Would you say it's in about the same or substantially the same condition as the last time you saw it?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, plaintiff would like to admit Exhibit 22 as evidence.
Any objections?
Yes, Your Honor, to relevancy.
Yeah,
Your Honor.
it is.
This goes to a statement that Sarah Coleman has made about the way that they run their business, and we're trying to provide that statement through the witness's experience with these advertisements.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
I don't see how these advertisements can be allowed to get statement made by Skylar Coleman into court today. I also don't see how these are relevant to make any facts in today's case more or less likely to have happened, because these are just simply ads. They don't have to do with the entrustment of firearms, the entrustment to Drew Cantrell or Justice Carbo, or the retention of Drew Cantrell.
Your Honor, I respond.
Yeah, please.
Your Honor, these advertisements lay a foundation for the conversation that that Mr. Hernandez had with Skylar Coleman, and therefore are relevant to the statement that Skylar Coleman made about how they run their business as they relate directly to the advertisements.
Court does not find it relevant to the point you want to make as to how the gun rank run his business. I don't see relevance of that. Okay. We have some other matters we want to address. None that you can do so. It is not relevant.
Your Honor, I understand.
Please.
You say that you asked Skylar Coleman for advice. Could you describe their response?
Yes. When I asked them for some advice on this sort of thing, they said that for them, their
Objection to hearsay?
Your Honor,
Hold on a second. I don't know whether your objection is prior to the answer. Or can you repeat your question?
yes, Your Honor. You said that you asked Skylar Coleman for advice. Could you describe their response?
Advice in general, I don't know whether that.
May I respond, Your Honor?
You may.
The witness just said, she said, which is her saying that she's trying to elicit an out-of-court statement in court today, which is the definition of hearsay.
Well, still, the court is still trying to understand whether or not this conversation is relevant at all to prove the truth of any matters asserted. What is the point?
Your Honor, this statement is going to go to the negligence that Shooting Star Gun Club is here today because it goes to the way that they conduct their business and what they prioritize over their safety.
So your question was about advice, right?
It's about, I'm trying to bring a statement that Skylar Coleman made to Ross Hernandez, which is admissible under 801D2D, and I'm trying to bring that to the court's attention today.
And is this about substantive issue that we are dealing with right now? Or
Your Honor,
it's because Ms. Hernandez is a friend of, Skylar. She sees him and talks to him and they sit down and have conversations and all kinds of stuff. How is this relevant to the point that we assume that?
Your Honor, it's relevant because it goes to the way that their business is conducted relative to how they prioritize safety and how they prioritize other things, which goes to their negligence and their liability in today's case.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
So in terms of the advice Skylar Coleman gave Mr. Hernandez, that is in terms of Mr. Hernandez's business. We are not talking at all about Mr. Hernandez's business. We are talking about Shooting Star. The advice that was given to her has no relevancy in today's case.
Your Honor,
Yeah, please.
this
It
is not,
connected to what we talked about.
this is advice being told from the perspective of how Skylar Cohen runs their business. It's being told about why they make the decisions they do. It has nothing to do with her business. It's just some that Skylar Cohen has shared about how she runs her business and why.
So the court is concerned about whether or not there's, you know, background established in terms of their interaction. She goes there every other day, 3 or 4 times a day for a conversation, lunch. And she happens to be in a conversation with this gentleman. The question is, what if you could get into some background as to what is it that they talk about usually, and whether or not you know, any of the conversations had any bearing on this issue that we're facing today. We could, you know, get to that, maybe we'll understand why it's relevant. Okay. So for now, it's bringing the objection, staying. This question, you still having a chance to try to get this witness's perspective.
And Your Honor, may the testimony be stricken from the record?
Only that part of the testimony that has to do with whatever conversation they were having that day, but you still have an opportunity to establish whether or not what the conversation Ms. Hernandez had has any bearing on the issue of negligence on that day when Ms. Carver was shot. Go ahead.
So you mentioned that you typically ask Skylar Cohen for advice. Do you typically converse with Skylar Cohen about business matters?
Yes, I do. It's really fascinating to get to hear their perspective on the business.
And do you know how long have you been running your business?
I've been running my business since 2012, so about a decade.
And how long have you known Skylar Cohen?
Since I opened my business, the strip mall where my business is located and her business is located as well. Her business has been there for so much longer than mine that when I showed up, I got to get to know Shooting Star.
Now let's look a little bit more about what your experiences at Shooting Star are. What do you typically do there?
When I go to Shooting Star, I normally get food, I look around, do range, and I talk with my friends.
And you say you typically look around the range. Do you typically watch people shoot?
Yeah, I do it pretty often. It's kind of interesting to get to watch people.
And let's look at more about your relationship with Drew Cantrell. Do you know who she is?
Yes, I do. Drew Cantrell is an employee at Shooting Star. I mean, I've seen her shoot a few times, but I wouldn't say she's a great shot.
Objection, improper lay opinion.
She gets her observation. I'm going to overrule that.
Your Honor, may I proceed? You said she's typically not a great shot. How have you observed this?
Well, when I go to the range, the 2 or 3 times I've seen Drew Cantrell shoot, she always misses the target. Not only misses the target, sometimes she even hits the target in the other eye. She always misses to the right.
Now, you say you're at Shooting Star 3 to 4 times a week. So could you maybe detail for us any incident that may have happened in your time there?
Well, my experience at Shooting Star has been great overall, but there have been 2 incidents that were really concerning, and they both involved Drew Cantrell. May 2021 and November 2020.
Could you describe your experience on the first incident of May 2021?
The May 2021 incident was the most traumatizing experience I have ever had at Shooting Star and in general. While I was going to the store to get some lunch, in the middle of the store, I heard an argument and I turned around. I saw Drew Cantrell lift the gun in her hand and point it at another employee's head. It sounded like they were having an argument. It was dead silent when she pointed the gun at the other employee. Everyone was terrified.
Yeah, that sounds scary. Could you maybe detail what happened next?
Yes. After that, Skylar Coleman came running in and started yelling at Cantrell about how that was completely inappropriate for an employee of Shooting Star to do. But Drew Cantrell just made another excuse about how the gun wasn't loaded.
And who, if anyone, spoke to you after this event?
Well, Skylar Coleman came to me and took some notes on what had happened, but I never heard anything after that.
Now, could you detail what your experience was with the incident in November of 2021?
Yes, I can. I came into the store to see Skylar Coleman to talk about something a vacation I was in. And when I went to the back office to talk to her, I could hear her lecturing Drew Cantrell on what I assumed was another lecture. Because from what I heard, this time she had left a loaded gun on the store counter.
Now, was there anything impeding your ability to hear them?
No, there was not. It was an open door. I could hear everything a little too well.
Now, what was your experience with what you heard?
Well, I wish I could say I was surprised that Drew Cantrell had broken yet another basic safety rule, but I wasn't. Drew Cantrell with the gun was an accident waiting to happen.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Counsel,
Of course, Your Honor. May I proceed?
please.
Good afternoon. So, on direct, you said you own a small business, correct?
Yes, I do. I'm very proud of it.
It's in the same strip mall as Shooting Star, right?
Yes, it is.
And you often visit Shooting Star, correct?
Yes, I visit Shooting Star pretty frequently.
As a result, you consider the people there like family to you, right?
I know the people there very well.
And you like pretty much everyone who works there, true?
Yeah, the people who I know there are amazing.
Including Skylar Coleman, right?
Yes, I trust them.
You trust her judgment, right?
Well, Skylar Coleman's a person, so we all have our mistakes, but overall, Skylar Coleman's a pretty good person.
So is that a yes to my question?
Okay, yes.
And you want to learn from her because she's the best, right?
She's run a successful business for years, so she's a pretty good person to learn from.
But when it came to her hiring practices, you didn't trust her then, did you?
I can't speak to her hiring practices. I don't run Shooting Stars. I don't know anything about it.
But you didn't like Drew Control, did you?
I don't know Drew Cantrell very well, so I can't exactly speak to their character. I would say maybe they weren't someone I'd see very often, so I don't think I can speak to this question.
So is it your sworn testimony that you did like Drew Control?
I did not say that.
So you didn't like Drew Control, right?
I have mixed feelings on Drew Cantrell, but again, I don't know them all.
So that's a yes to my question.
I can't say I like Drew.
So I want to talk a little bit more about the incidences that happened with Drew Control, the so-called incidences. The first one happened in May of 2021, right?
That is correct.
You didn't even see the whole thing though, right?
I overheard the argument, and then I turned around and saw Drew Cantrell point a gun at another employee's head.
Thank you, but I asked about what you saw, not what you heard. You did not see the entire incident, did you?
I didn't see the argument, no.
In fact, you weren't even paying full attention to what was happening.
I was walking through the store with my friend, so I wasn't paying attention until I saw them pointing a gun at someone else's head.
So that's a yes to my question.
Yeah.
So let's go to the second so-called incident, which happened of November of 2021, right?
That is correct. It was November 2021.
You weren't even there when that one happened, were you?
I was not, but I overheard the lecture happening before it happened.
Right, but yet again, I asked you what you saw, not what you heard. You weren't there when it happened, right?
I did not personally witness Drew Cantrell leave a loaded gun on the store counter. That is correct.
So then you later came back to Shooting Star, right?
I'm sorry. Could you clarify the question for me?
Of course, Miss Hernandez. You later came to Shooting Star that day.
On the day of the November 2021 incident?
Yes, that day.
Yes, that is correct. I came to the store during that incident, like after that incident.
Right. And you were looking for Skylar Coleman, correct?
I was looking for Skylar Coleman. That's correct.
You went back to their office, true?
That is correct. That's normally where Skylar is when she's not working in the store.
And you heard her say the name Drew, right?
Yes, repeatedly and at very high volume.
And immediately you assumed that Drew was getting in trouble.
Well, when I'm overhearing a lecture and I hear someone's name being used multiple times, I was able to understand that it was a lecture from something that person done.
Yes, but you don't know what they were talking about, did you?
I could hear what was being talked about fairly clearly.
But you weren't there the entire time, were you?
I was not there inside of the office while Drew Cantrell was getting lectured.
All right, and let's go to the day of May 28th, 2022. That was the day that Justice Carbo got shot, right?
Yes, it was. I read about it in the newspaper.
Exactly, you read about it, but you weren't there, were you?
I never said I was there at that instant. Correct.
So that's yes to my question.
Yes, it is.
And everything that you say is just something that you heard.
That's incorrect. The May 2021 incident, I did see Drew Cantrell point a loaded gun at someone else's head.
So you were there on May 28th, 2022.
I said May 2021. I was there on the May 2021 incident. I was not there on the May 2022 incident.
Mr. Hernandez, I'm talking about the May 28th, 2022 incident. You were not there,
Oh, I was not there for that incident. That's good.
and you did not see anything that day.
As I previously stated, I was not there and I did not witness that incident.
So you really can't speak on what happened that day, can you?
That's correct. I never
Thank you.
made
No
any
further
remarks.
questions.
Your Honor, the redirect. Let me direct your attention back to the November 2021. You came into the store. Why did you come into the store that day?
I came to the store to talk with Skylar Coleman about a vacation I was planning.
And where did you go to try and find them?
I went to the back office. That's where they normally are.
And was there anything impeding your ability to hear?
No, I could hear everything very clearly. The door was open.
And could you describe again for the court what you heard?
I overheard the lecture that Drew Cantrell received about the events that had happened where Drew Cantrell had left a loaded gun in the store counter.
No further questions, Your Honor, and I ask that the witness be excused.
Of course, you can.
No recross, Your Honor.
Give you a moment. All right, say your Counsel.
Call Dr. Morgan Judd to the stand. May I proceed?
Yes.
Dr. Morgan Judd, please introduce yourself to the court.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Morgan Judd.
I'd like to talk about your background. What kind of education do you have?
I have a PhD in public policy from Tulane University and a master's in statistics from Auburn.
What is your professional background?
I'm an associate professor at the Center of Gun Violence Prevention at Imperial State University of Public Health.
Do you have any field experience?
I've trained 10 years with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Drugs, and Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, also called the ATF, where I got a lot of experience training with the Mexican.
What certifications do you have?
I have a safety certificate from the Department of Justice, along with many years of training.
Your Honor, the plaintiff would like to tender Dr. Gordon Judd as an expert in firearms safety as well as policy. And it has been previously stipulated in stipulation number 12 that she has all the qualifications necessary for this.
Counsel.
No objections to that, Your Honor. I'd like to talk about your involvement in today's case. Why are you here today?
I was contacted by Justice Carbo's lawyers January of 2026.
What were you hired to do?
I was hired to create an in-depth analysis based on my findings of the case, review the firearm safety sale logs from Shooting Star, and review the safety measures used at Shooting Star.
And what materials have you reviewed in preparation for today's case?
I reviewed the affidavits of Justice Carbo and Skylar Coleman, the depositions of Duke and Chow, Nick Alfred, and Adrian Lynn, as long as also exhibits 1 through 22 and exhibit 24 of my own personal life.
Are you being paid for your work today?
Yes, I'm being paid $400 an hour for every hour. I've worked on this case and 600 hours an hour for every hour I can work.
So how many hours have you worked on this case?
About 36 hours so far.
And how much is that in total?
That's about $14,000 so far.
Why do you charge so much for your services?
I work thoroughly on this case and my expertise are valued very highly.
Now, I'd like to turn your attention to your field of expertise, firearm safety. Let the record reflect, I'm showing opposing counsel a clean and unmarked copy of what has been marked as exhibit 8. And approaching the witness with the same. And courtesy copy for you.
Thank you.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is the gun range safety rules.
Is this a fair and accurate copy of this?
Yes, it is.
And is it in the same or substantially the same condition as you last saw it?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, the plaintiff would like to move exhibit 8 into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
Are these safety rules standard for gun ranges?
Yes, they're standard throughout and in most countries.
And would you tell the court what the 5 best safety practices are for handling firearms?
The 5 best safety practice laws are 1, keep a gun unloaded except for in use. 2, don't point a gun at another person unless intended to. 3, use the gun safety mechanism correctly. 4, don't pull a trigger unless intended to. And 5, beware your surroundings while holding it.
And are these rules listed in this exhibit?
Yes, they are.
Now, I'd like to talk to you about safety courses. What should a proper safety course consist of?
A proper safety course should be very organized, very thought out, very prepared. It should have one-on-one instruction, written information, packets of before and after. It should have a lot of safety equipment and have a complete training for the client.
Was this standard upheld by Shooting Star Gun Club?
No, it was not.
And how did they fail to uphold this standard?
Shooting Star performed a 2-on-1 training, so the instructor's attention was divided between both clients. They also had no safety equipment inside the range except for the dividers and gun. There was no written information that was provided after. It was just very unprepared, very annoying.
Now, I'd like to talk about the specific course that happened on May 28, 2022, in which my client was negligently shot. What gun was used for this course?
It was a Glock 22 handgun.
Could you please explain a little bit more about this gun?
This gun was frequently used for inexperienced gun shooters, and it had a very light trigger.
In your expert opinion, what caused my client to be shot during this course?
The breach of the gun range safety rules is the 5 best safety practice laws for the reason that there was an accident.
Could you explain a little more what you mean by that?
During the incident on May 2020, the safety laws number 5 was broken. Beware your surroundings while holding a firearm.
Would you point to which rules were breached on this exhibit?
Know your target and beyond. Always know that you're shooting and be mindful of what is around and behind your target.
Was this the first time that Ms. Cantrell breached the 5 best practices of safety?
No, there are many instances like this.
And where did you find out about it?
With my thoroughly review of the case, I read all about it.
Would you recognize it I showed you today?
Yes, I would.
Let the record reflect, I'm showing opposing counsel a clean and unmarked copy of exhibit 16. I'm approaching the witness with the same. And a courtesy copy for your honor.
Thank you.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is the firearm checkout log.
Is this a fair and accurate copy of this log?
Yes, it is.
Is it in the same or substantially the same condition as last time?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, the plaintiff would like to move exhibit 16 into evidence.
Council.
No objection,
Would you please read the entry at 12:04 PM on November 16th, 2021?
1204, signature, Drew Punchell, notes, firearm returned with rounds and chamber, see repairman memo, and Drew Punchell's file.
Everyone's trying to catch up with you. Where?
It's right here,
All right. Repeat what you just said.
Time checked in, 12:04 PM, signature, Drew Punchell, notes, firearm returned with rounds and chamber, see repairman memo, and Drew Punchell's file.
And what best practice was violated in this?
During this, Mr. Contrell brought out the firearm into the store and broke rule number 1. Keep a gun unloaded except for when in use.
Is this also mentioned in this exhibit 8?
Yes, it is. If it's loaded, leave it on the line. Every gun is loaded. Treat every gun as it is loaded and dangerous.
And according to the materials you reviewed in preparation for this case, was this the only other time an incident has occurred with Drew Cantrell?
No, there was also another incident on May 2021 where Mr. Cantrell pointed a firearm at an individual, which breaks rule number 2. Don't pull a firearm at another person unless.
Regarding these incidents, what is your expert opinion on Drew Cantrell's fitness to teach these safety courses?
In my expert opinion, I think Drew Cantrell is very unfit to teach any of these safety courses because of the breach of this gun safety rules and the 5 gun safety practices.
Now, let me direct your attention to the sale of the firearm to my client, Justice Carbo. And can you please explain what the Responsible Firearms Sales Practices Act is?
It states that a person should not market, entrust, sell, or offer to sell a firearm or a product used to operate a firearm to any person who is unfit to safely possess a firearm or a product to use a firearm.
And how did Shooting Star Gun Club know that my client wanted to purchase a firearm?
Justice Cargo emailed him many times, stating that he would like to purchase it.
I'd like to direct your attention to Exhibit 15A, which should be already on the witness stand. Let the record reflect that this exhibit has already been entered into evidence. Dr. Judd, could you please read Exhibit 15A?
The first one?
Please.
Hello, I'm interested in purchasing a gun from your shop for self-defense. I've heard great things about your gun shop from others in the community, but I have a few questions before deciding whether to buy a gun. First, I'm all new to this. I've never owned a gun or even shot or held one. So I'm a bit nervous about buying one for self-defense. If I would know how to use it when I really needed it. I need to learn how to use it. Where should I start? Second, what is a good type of gun to buy for first-time owner use? I know that there's different styles and brands of guns. Just wondering if you have any suggestions there. Lastly, how formal is the process for getting them? If I come down to the store, can I get it that day? Or is there a bunch of paperwork just to get it? Do I need a background check first? Looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you, Justice Carlo.
And based upon this email, what is your understanding of my client's experience with firearms?
Mr. Carlo was very unexperienced with guns, and he states that he's never shot one or even held one in her life.
And who is this email addressed to?
Skylar Coleman.
And so what is your expert conclusion on the lawfulness of the sale of the firearm to my client?
This was a very unlawful sale for a very unexperienced client.
No further questions, Your Honor. I have to move this. Good morning, Dr. Judd.
Good morning.
Now, you talked about the Glock incident in your direct examination, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you have said before in your affidavit that the Glock 22 is best used for inexperienced owners, correct?
It's often used for an experienced gun.
And also for self-defense.
Yeah, I could be used for that.
And Justice Carbo came to Shooting Star for a gun needed for self-defense and for him being an inexperienced owner, correct?
I would sustain the objection to restate it.
Justice Carbo came to Shooting Star as an inexperienced owner, correct?
Yes, she states that in her email to Scatter.
And she also needed a gun for self-defense, correct?
Yes, she states that in the email.
And the Glock 22 is used for both of those reasons, correct?
It can be, yes.
Moving forward, you've had a personal experience with gun violence, correct?
Yes, my niece died from an internet relevance.
Counsel.
This pertains to relevance because this can show bias to the witness itself, showing how the need of the change of their job can be used to the fact that after a personal incident can affect their expert opinion today.
This is not relevant to the case today, as this is based on the expert's personal background, which has nothing to do with today's case, proving whether or not Shooting Star negligently hired or retained your contract.
You want to further argue or you want to do?
This furthers it because this can show how the expert can be biased based on their expertise, showing how one of their personal experiences can affect their expert opinion on the Second Amendment and the use of guns.
Counsel, this is a significant witness. She's an expert, highly educated, and highly experienced. She's familiar with all the rules and regulations. She's already offered a conclusion as to what she thought happened that day in terms of negligence of the business. So I think it's relevant. I'm going to overrule that objection and allow her to go into the nation of somebody's. Go ahead, Counsel.
Would you like to? Yes. Now, you have had a close family member of yours affected by gun violence, correct?
Yes, my niece died at a really big party because of a accident gone wrong. She got me involved in this accident.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Dr. Jed. But moving forward, you said about advocacy group. You joined an advocacy group after this accident with your niece, correct?
Yes, her accident originally got me interested in how to prevent things like this from happening.
And this ultimately changed the trajectory of your career itself.
Yes, this was a realization that I should be actually hoping to do something in my life.
And you also believe that there should have been stricter gun laws after this incident?
Sure, but just basic safety procedure would just save so many lives.
So that's a yes to my question.
Yes.
Moving forward, you have a firearm certificate, correct?
Yes, I do, from the Maryland Department of Justice.
And Drew Cantrell has this same firearm certificate, correct?
Yes, I believe that.
And Drew Cantrell, as you mentioned, has made some mistakes, right?
Yes.
But you have said yourself that the best gun owners even make mistakes, correct?
I mean, everyone makes mistakes, we're all human.
And after Drew Cantrell made his mistakes, it was still she realized her mistakes.
I cannot testify on the character of.
But those mistakes weren't repeated.
I do not believe they were.
And those two situations were isolated on itself.
Can you please revise?
Based on those two incidents, there were two separate incidents, correct?
Yes.
No further question.
Correct. Did the accident concerning your niece affect your opinion on today's news?
No, it does not.
To explain why.
Why would something that happened a couple of years ago affect my bias on this?
Are the certificates
certifications through Cantrell sufficient to determine whether or not a person is capable of being a safety instructor?
No, they're not.
No further questions.
Thank you very much, sir.
At this time, the plaintiff rests his case in chief. We would like to request a recess in between cases in chief.
Okay. What do you need, 5 minutes? What?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Okay. All right, so court will be in recess for 5 minutes. Jury, no, all right?
Good job. How are you going? No problem. Yes.
Thank you so much. So what do you have? So for somebody that can put their name, that's right. That has been approved in the next one for the first one. 39. Here, let me read it aloud. How much time do you take to be back to them, everybody? 3:18. I see it. I missed time, both the opening and for the yeah. Yeah. That's what it is. 2, 3. Okay. 1 minute warning. Your Honor, the 5 minutes are up. So,
Your Honor, before we begin, one of the members, felt sick, so I'm not sure if she'll be able to come back.
You want to find out? You
Um,
want to do a quick follow-up?
yes, I will be,
Oh, here's you.
okay, back here. Honor.
Okay, Joe, you want to call everybody back in? Yeah, good. Everybody back? The conversation is- Okay.
Your Honor, we are missing one of those.
You want to look at the hallway? Okay, defense, kind of rested, so you may proceed. For your first witness.
The defense would like to call Drew Cantrell to the stand.
Until you understand under oath, right? Okay, thank you.
May we proceed, Your Honor?
Please,
Good afternoon. Please introduce yourself to the court.
My name is Drew Cantrell. I work for the Education Star Gun Club and I have been for the past 3 years.
How are you connected to today's case?
I was the instructor assigned to teaching Justice Carlo on May 28th, 2022.
And when were you first introduced to Justice Carbo?
Ms. Pullman introduced me through some emails, but I had just met Justice Carbo earlier that day.
Let the record reflect I'm approaching closing counsel with what has been previously marked as exhibit 19. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
please.
Would you like a complimentary copy? Ms. Cantrell, do you recognize this exhibit?
I do.
And can you please tell us what it is?
This is my firearm safety certificate.
Is this a fair and accurate copy?
It sure is.
At this time, the defense would like to enter in exhibit 19 onto the record.
No objections, Your Honor.
Be admitted.
And may we publish it to the jury?
May.
So, Ms. Control, what does it mean that you have this certification?
It means that I'm certified in firearm safety, Department of Justice certified instructor. Jason Stanford signed off on it, so figures it means something.
And was this your only thing you needed to become an instructor at Shooting Star?
No, I was also issued a firearms instructor certificate, and that was given to me on Miss Coleman.
But was that your only experiences with guns?
Oh no, I've been shooting guns since I was young. I was marksman in high school, and I had also gone hunting with my father. I mean, I've also been to Shooting Star a few times back in high school.
So let's go to the day of May 28th, 2022. Why were you running that training session?
Well, I've been teaching the course for about a year, and I think Miss Coleman knew I was good to instruct this novice.
Did you feel confident in running that training session?
I did. It wasn't my first rodeo.
Let the record reflect, I'm approaching opposing counsel with what has been previously marked as exhibit 14. Let the record reflect, I'm approaching a witness. Would you like to comment? Great. Ms. Charles, do you recognize this exhibit?
I do.
And what is it?
These are Yelp reviews of Shooting Star Gun Club.
And
Is it what?
These are the Yelp reviews of Shooting Star Gun Club.
And how do you know about these reviews?
Because they were posted on our Yelp page.
And this is a fair and accurate copy?
There is.
At this time, the defense would like to enter exhibit 14 onto the record.
Objection, Your Honor. Your second.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Please.
Pursuant to 803.6, this is a regularly conducted business activity. As my witness has just testified, she uses it in the course of her job as a shooting instructor to review what people are saying about how she teaches the course.
What is the relevance of that? It's just out of court statement to prove the truth of the matter asserted as to what the deficiency or the review or the approval.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
So I believe it goes directly to one of the elements of today's case, and that is that Drew Cantrell was a proper person to run these training sessions and that they knew what they were doing. Thus, Shooting Star was not reckless in their hiring and retention of Drew Cantrell.
Well, I don't see this as being, the kind of statement that prove the assertion that you made. So I'm going to bring this objection sustained.
Of course, Your Honor. So, Ms. Cantrell, did you feel confident? Sorry, let me rephrase. Why did you decide that you were a good person to run these training sessions?
Well, Salary Coleman actually decided it for me, but I've been teaching the course for almost a year at that point, and I think she just realized that, I had enough experience.
Speculation to what?
The witness just stated, I think that Coleman told me, and therefore these things.
She's answering the question as to why he was assigned to teach that class. You want to repeat your question again?
Of course, I asked, why did you decide you were capable of teaching this training session? And may I respond to opposing counsel?
Why did she decide?
Yes.
Okay, all right, and counsel, your response was?
I had been teaching the course for over a year, and Coleman thought I was experienced enough to do it.
Your objection was?
My objection is to the witness statement that Coleman thought he was capable. The witness has no way of knowing what Coleman thought about it.
Well, I'm going to. Go ahead.
So I believe my witness misspoke, because the first time she did not say that she thought, she said Coleman knew that based off her like observations of what she had previously done, so these are her own observations of what she had done, that she thought she was capable of running the training session. So she was only talking about her own thoughts.
So is it what you're saying, Ms. Michelle, that you thought that you were capable of providing this kind of instruction?
Well, I think that Scholar Coleman thought I was capable because he was the one who signed me to Miss
The
Carver.
question was as to why you thought you were capable of.
Oh, should I change my answer then?
Well, I need for you to answer the question.
Okay, I can do that. I
That
apologize.
was the question. Go ahead.
Your Honor, may I have a
Well, there was a misunderstanding of the question. So that's why we are asking the witness to restate her answer as to why she thought she was one who was able to teach this course. Go ahead.
So, Ms. Cantrell, why did you feel confident in your abilities to run this training session?
Well, I had been teaching the course for over a year, or around a year actually at that point. So I was pretty used to it by then.
And in your course of employment at Shooting Star, were there any incidents that happened?
Yes, there was one incident, one misunderstanding, of course, happened around May of 2021. Ms. Coleman assumed, she thought I was pointing the gun at someone, but that's completely incorrect. I was inspecting the gun, and if anything was pointed at the floor.
And was that the only incident?
No, there was another incident in November that same year, which I'll admit was my mistake. I had walked out of the shooting range with the firearm still loaded. I don't know what happened, but I never did it again.
Let's go back to the May 28th training session. What did you do when the training session was started?
I instructed Justice Carbo to stand a few feet to my right, and then I instructed Nick Allred to stand to Carbo's right.
Let the record reflect that I am showing opposing counsel what has been previously marked as Exhibit 2A. And I'm approaching the witness. Would you like to copy?
Please.
Ms. Cantrell, do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And what is that exhibit?
This is the shooting stall that I always go to, and this is where I taught Carbo and Allred.
Is it the fair and accurate copy?
Correct.
At this time, the defense would like to enter Exhibit 2A onto the record.
no objections?
So once you had started the training session, what did you do at stall 11?
I gave both participants safety equipment. That's just earplugs and eye goggles.
And after that, what happened?
I explained to them some of the safety rules. We have some posted outside, but I also just made sure to explain them before I demonstrated them actually using the firearm.
So you did demonstrate how to safely use a firearm?
I did.
What did that entail?
That just means I was not putting my finger on the trigger before I was ready to shoot. I was pointing down range, and I was just focused on my firearm and my surroundings.
Did you pull the trigger after that?
I pulled the trigger to fire the first shot, yes.
How many shots were there together?
There were 2 shots, but the second one was an inadvertent shot that I could not control.
Why was that not a shot that you could control?
Well, I believe that throughout my instruction, Justice Carbo was hankering for a view and might have moved a little closer.
She was doing it.
she hankered for a view, and so she kind of moved a little bit closer to me than I instructed.
Okay, objection,
Objection, Your Honor, as to speculation.
May I respond, Your Honor?
go ahead.
My witness is using her rationally based perception because she knew where she positioned Justice Carbo. And then she looked over after the first shot was fired and they had moved significantly closer. So now she's using her observation to tell that they moved closer, and that's just what she testified to.
Your Honor, may I respond? Your Honor, the witness is speculating as to whether or not Justice Carbo moved to the place where they were originally standing. And opposing counsel just stated that the witness saw Justice Carbo closer following the first shot. And yeah, she saw after Justice Carbo fallen to the floor. The witness is not able to rationally perceive whether or not Justice Carbo moved.
May I respond, Your Honor? She was there the day of the incident. These are her observations. She saw where she had first put Justice Carbo, then she saw where Justice Carbo was later. And she saw that Justice Carbo had moved.
Counsel, I didn't hear your witness say that to stop Cabo move. So she's inclined to get a better view. So I think there's speculation. So I'll sustain.
Miss Carbo, what did you see during the training session?
I saw, I guess I noticed that the recoil on the gun was a lot stronger than I had anticipated.
And did you notice anything about how people were positioned?
I noticed that the position changed, but that's only because Justice Carbo had hit my arm right after the first shot, and I reckon that's because they were maybe afraid of the recoil.
So let's talk about the recoil on the gun a little bit more. What was wrong about it?
It was much stronger than I had ever experienced for a Glock 22. Glock 22s usually never have such a strong recoil like that one did.
So to clarify for the jury, did you pull the trigger a second time?
No, I did not.
Overall, how do you feel you handled the May 28th, 2022 training session?
I went into it like I did all of my other training sessions, and I followed the same rules I did. I believe what happened was a result of the recoil and of Justice Carbo hitting my arm. I believe it was an unforeseeable incident, and I could not have controlled that.
Thank you. No further questions.
Elder, may I proceed?
Please.
Ms. Control, you have worked for Shooting Star Gun Club for the past 3 years.
That's right.
You were initially hired as a salesperson.
That's also right.
In this initial position, you had nothing to do with safety instruction.
No, I was just managing the storeroom and selling firearms to customers.
If that was a yes to my question, you did not involve any work with safety instruction at that time.
No, I was not involved in construction.
And this was your first ever position that involved firearms.
This was my first time working at a shooting range, but it was not my first time around guns. I've been around guns since my childhood.
This former experience was only recreational though.
It was recreational, yes. I was running in and in high school.
Oh, Ms. Control, during your hiring process, Shooting Star Gun Club never asked you about your former jobs.
No, they did not.
Shooting Star Gun Club never asked you about your former criminal record.
Objection, improper character evidence.
There's some facts not yet in evidence, so there's some criminal recognition that need to get into. Perhaps we can establish some kind of background.
Let the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel a clean and marked copy of Exhibit 21. Approaching the witness with the same. I have a courtesy copy for your own. Ms. Cantrell, this is your criminal record, correct?
Okay,
And it's a fair and accurate copy of that record.
unfortunately.
It is in the same, and or substantially the same condition as when you saw it.
Yes.
Your Honor, the plaintiff offers exhibit 21 into evidence.
I'd like to re-raise my objection of improper character evidence.
Well, in context, I'm going to overrule that objection, because in the context of her application to be hired in the position that she was hired at
Then, Your Honor,
Star Gun Club. I don't know whether this is a requirement that was that needed to have been understood. So, counsel, do you have any evidence as to whether or not this is a requirement of the Star Gun Club to hire an individual?
Your Honor, this evidence is being offered to show that Shooting Star Gun Club negligently hired Juvention because they did not look into former criminal records and former acts that were considered reckless or dangerous, which goes towards whether or not they were fit or competent to perform their work.
may I change my
Go ahead.
objection, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
The lack of foundation, I don't believe opposing counsel has laid enough foundation to see how Shooting Star would have this in the record, and I would like them to lay that foundation before entering it.
I'll allow it. I'll allow the inquiry as to what Shooting Star's requirements were, so we could all be clear as to what's going on. And the court is not presuming that there's a criminal record that it's relevant or it's limiting, because I don't know whether or not the rules and regulations say that anyone with a criminal record can. So go ahead and inquire.
Ms. Cantrell, Shooting Star Gun Club ran a background check on the party, correct?
I said I did, but I don't really know what that involves.
And furthermore, Shooting Star Gun Club is located right next to a bar, correct?
Yes.
And you are aware that when using firearms, they should never be used next to alcohol.
Absolutely not. I would never use firearms with alcohol, and I would never teach a safety course with alcohol at all.
However, Ms. Cantrell, you were convicted of a DUI.
So I call those most humble these days.
Objection to facts on
I
evidence.
got one more because I'm waiting. So that, he already put forth, the specific charge, so you're objecting to the statement as to what she was convicted of?
I don't think she entered it onto the record, nor did she publish it to the jury, so I don't think they should be allowed to hear that until she does that.
Well, we did say that, initially, I, did grant your objection because the facts were not in evidence, but now it's in evidence that, there is, a background, criminal background. Or did we ever admit this into evidence? I was still debating whether or not we will admit this.
I think we're still debating. Opposing counsel has not entered it onto the record, which is why
Well, it's not yet admitted.
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, but I'm gonna let her inquire to then establish the proper foundation, because we've already allowed her to get into the fact that Ms. Cantrell has run it back. So go ahead, you may proceed as to what this particular criminal background is.
Ms. Cantrell, you were convicted of driving under the influence of alcohol.
Like I was saying, I used to call those most humble these days. I just used to roll around town, but that's not me anymore. I don't run around like that.
That was a yes to my question. You have been convicted of driving under the influence.
I have.
And at this time, we would like to officially admit exhibit 21 as evidence.
Could we raise your objection?
Yes, I'd like to raise my objection of improper character evidence.
If the court will admit it, and will allow, further evidence to come in and try to establish whether or not this, the gun club had any requirements that, no one can be hired in this, with this kind of background. So, for limited purposes,
Ms. Cantrell, you're also convicted of reckless driving.
Regrettably.
You're also convicted of a hit and run.
Yes, but these were so many years ago. I'm not the same person now. I don't do that kind of that nowadays.
Ms. Cantrell, you would agree that all three of these acts are reckless.
I would say I have been reckless.
You would have. You would agree that all three of these acts put other people's lives at risk.
Regrettably, yes.
Currently, you are a safety instructor.
Yes,
You are a safety instructor because you value safety.
yes.
You'd agree that safety is especially important when handling firearms.
I think that people purchasing firearms need to be very well informed, and I like to be a part of that process.
If you could please refer to Exhibit 8, which has already been admitted into evidence. As a safety instructor, you're very familiar with the sun, aren't you?
I am. I walk past it every day.
So you're aware that you should treat every gun as if it is loaded,
Yes,
and you should only point at something if you want it destroyed.
yes,
And when shooting a gun, you should be aware of your surroundings at all times.
yes, but in reference to, May 28th, when I'm instructing, I have to be focused on the
Ms. Cantrell,
target.
if you could please restrict yourself to answering the question. So you're aware that you should always be aware of your surroundings when shooting a gun.
Yes, but I would like to add, I think it's also important to be aware, very aware of the target when you're shooting a gun as well.
I'll suggest to my question, you should be aware of your surroundings when shooting a gun.
Yes,
Now, in May of 2021, you were reprimanded for pointing a gun at another human being, correct?
the whole thing was a misunderstanding, but yes, I was reprimanded, and I understand that Miss Coleman has to do these things, because she has to keep the gun club safe, and if that's what she has to do, I don't mind taking a little bit of slack for it.
Let the record reflect that I'm showing you both a counseled, clean and unmarked copy of Exhibit 20. Approaching the witness with the same. Have a courtesy copy for your own.
thank you.
Ms. Cantrell, do you recognize this document?
I do.
Can you tell us what it is?
It's the memorandum that I received from Scholar Coleman.
And it is a fair and accurate copy of that memorandum.
Sure is.
Is in the same or substantially the same condition as when you saw it.
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, the plaintiff offers Exhibit 20 into evidence.
Counsel.
No objections, Your Honor.
Now, if you could please read alongside of me as I read aloud the bullet point that starts with May 2024. It states that in violation of company policy and best practices, you aimed a firearm at another person in the gun shop following a verbal argument.
Did.
Despite this accident, you didn't lose your job, did you?
I did not, and that's because, again, the whole thing was a misunderstanding. I understand why Coleman had to write this, but
Ms. Cantrell, so that was a yes, you did not lose your job over this incident.
no.
In fact, only 3 months later, you were promoted to a firearms safety instructor.
Yeah, I think that was because I just got really good at using Coleman laughing.
And you did not receive any new training for this role.
Well, I had to receive, like I mentioned, my firearm safety certificate from the Department of Justice. That took a while, like 4 hours.
But Ms. Cantrell, you did not receive any new training for this role.
I mean, I had to get my instruction and certificate, but as far as training went, I was already pretty experienced with firearms, so that wasn't exactly necessary for me.
That was a yes, my question, you did not receive any new training.
No, I didn't have.
And only 3 months after your promotion, you were written up again.
That's right.
you brought a loaded gun from the gun range into the shop.
I admit that was a mistake after a long ago, but
Yes, in fact, it broke one of the safety rules that we just showed you.
it did.
And after this incident, you weren't fired.
Well, after this incident, I received another ruthless lecture from Scholar Coleman, but
But you were not fired after this incident.
I was not fired. But I never repeated the incident again.
And on May 28th, you taught the safety course for Justice Carver.
That's right.
And during the safety course, you believed that Justice Carver was closer to you.
I believe so.
And yet, you never once told Justice Carver to move further away from you.
Well, I only noticed that Carver was moving closer to me after I felt him hit my arm.
But you yourself did not see Justice Carver move closer to you.
No, I did not see Justice Carver move close to me, but I believe that's an explanation for him hitting my arm.
Ms. Cantrell, during the demonstration, it was you who instructed Justice Carver to stand immediately to your right.
Immediately, in my words, immediately means closest to me, but Justice Carver was a bit of a line away from me.
Ms. Cantrell, during the demonstration, you believed that recoil was not too much of a concern with the Glock 22.
It's usually not a concern, but this time it was much greater than I expected.
And when you shot the gun, it felt unusual to you.
It did.
The recoil was more violent than any other handgun you had shot before.
That's right.
You had never used this exact gun before.
Not this exact one.
You didn't inspect the gun to make sure it was working properly before using it as a demonstration.
Well, I've been teaching this course for years, and nothing had ever happened like this in
Yeah, sure.
history.
Did you or did you not inspect the gun before using it in the demonstration?
Well, it was unforeseeable. No, I did not inspect the gun.
If you please turn back to Exhibit 8, the safety rules, and refer to the safety rule that starts with checking weapon, and please read it silently as I read it out. Always make sure your weapon is functioning properly cleaned, and safe to use. Correct?
Yes.
And on the day of May 28th, 2022, you did not do this.
Regrettably, I did not.
And when you demonstrate how to shoot the gun, the recoil affected your grip, correct?
Yes, the recoil coupled with the hit, that definitely affected my grip.
In fact, you tightened your grip on the gun in response.
I was just trying to control it, but I realized that that was the wrong thing.
Yes, in fact, after you tried to tighten your grip on the gun, that was when the second shot fired.
I was just trying to be in control of the gun. I don't believe that's what caused the second shot, though.
But it was after you tried to tighten your grip on the gun that the gun fired a second time.
That's right.
And it was this second gunshot that shot Justice Carbo in the leg, correct?
It was this inadvertent gunshot that shot Justice Carver.
No further questions, Your Honor.
May I redirect?
Your Honor, may I publish these exhibits to the jury?
Yes, they've been.
Yes, it is exhibit 28 and 22.
Ms. Control, on the day of the training session, how long did it take? How much time was between the first shot and the second shot?
Gosh, it was almost instant when the shot redirected and I was hit, and then it was just so quick.
Right, so you had no time to reposition Justice Carlo.
Absolutely not.
And you believe the bump to be the reason why the second shot fired.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
No redirect, no recall.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks. We'll give you a couple minutes. I think we're done. Thank you. We'll take a couple minutes while the jurors update your records.
I'm all set.
Okay, everybody ready, so. Defense,
The defense would like to call everyone to stand.
and let me get you under oath.
Yes.
Okay.
Please introduce yourself first. Your name and everyone. And why you living? You could say my gun detail through an adopted from my home. And even times, money was tight. But you Star just really had that atmosphere and created a safe environment, followed regulations, and then it goes on. What do you like to say? Oh, I just want Shooting Star and my hunting passion kind of brought it all together. You could say Star was knowledgeable, staff was helpful. What's it like inside Shooting Star? Sorry, there's a cafe kind of tavern thing, and that kind of enhances the environment and atmosphere it puts you, because you're meeting with people who probably aren't there to buy a gun, but you know, probably enjoying coffee. So yeah, and they have a wide selection of guns and everything. Just really nice atmosphere, range officers everywhere. And from your perspective, what were the disappointments? Oh, they constantly advise people about the rules involving weapons. You know, they have these safety instructions everywhere, reminding them of the cautions of using a gun. They have these, you know, range safety rules. They were plastered everywhere. And did Coleman always his own? Oh, I'm pretty sure it's descending from his parents, but I feel like it's been considerably safer since 2016. What do you mean by safer? I mean, there were some incidents that have occurred when I'm pretty sure Coleman's parents owned it. What incidents? There were mainly incidents that caused a recoil when customers weren't handling weapons right. This recoil was achieved in the chin, and you know, things there. So let's move on to the incident that happened. Where were you? I was in stall 3, roughly 30 feet away, and there's only 12 stalls right there. And who do you see around? I saw Nick Allred walking. He was in there for about 15 minutes. And then he asked for a training course. I directed him to stall 11 because I figured that they would put something together. Directed him in. I was on. And when did this training session? It began when Harbo and Drew entered the range, and then began talking. But the rest of the class time getting closing counsel has already been marked.
please.
So, your perspective, where do the people sit? So, based on X's, we see the blue X, that would be where Justice Carbo was standing from my view. Then right on the red X, that's where Justice Carbo was standing, right in between Nick, which would be the yellow X. And then that's sort of what happened. So it was definitely nothing unusual, you know, doing the gun. It looked like Carbo was a bit close to control. That was from my point of view, though. And that's what I just thought really weird. What was unusual? I mean, I'd say there was nothing out of the ordinary when Drew was running the safety course, showing the gun. But I do want to say, post first shot, I definitely saw Justice Carbo flinch, jump, range of motion, and definitely into Drew. And I think that's caused a bit of directional second shot. That was definitely out of the ordinary. And what happened after the second shot? Oh, Carbo, it was so hard to say. Carbo fell to the floor, and then it came, that was coming down and on it.
It became what?
Oh, it was so hard to see.
Oh,
And did Shooting Star still stay in business after? Oh, I mean, after a misfortunate accident like that, it's hard to overcome. It's hard to stand back up, build, and advise and make to requirements. I mean, Shooting Star rose to the occasion. They accepted objection in our narrative.
I'm sustained. Try to answer the question.
They put that. Yes, they added these shields that separated the instructor and then the person. For the person to
You purchased numerous firearms from Shooting Star Gun Club, isn't that right? And it's because it's company policy to offer a safety course with each purchase, isn't it? It is. However, whenever Coleman sold you a firearm, they didn't mention the safety.
I mean, then I bought it so many times, and every other staff.
So that's a yes. Despite it being company policy to provide one.
Oh, yeah, I mean, every other, staff that I bought one, they offered it.
Now, Shooting Star prioritizes safety, don't they?
Oh, definitely, I mean, staff there is very, and you know what.
So that's a yes. Yeah. And it's important to follow ground safety rules.
Oh, of course. Weapon like that, definitely.
And you know of one time that a Shooting Star employee violated these safety rules, is that right?
I can recall, yeah.
That employee was Drew Cantrell?
Yeah.
And you clearly saw Cantrell point a handgun at another person.
That's what properly. I came in for the bit, or I only saw what I did. So I didn't see the whole thing.
But you saw Cantrell point a handgun at another person.
Roughly.
Pointing a gun at another person is one of those basic rules of guns, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, look what's happened, so we can't let that happen together. It's human error.
Yeah, so that's a yes.
Yeah.
That's
Your Honor,
my witness is a brief response.
Can you repeat what
My witness that there is a lot of brief response to the question.
you did? It's fine. Might have been a little bit.
She's cutting off the witness pattern.
Well, I don't think it's argumentative. Trying to give a yes or no answer. So,
Now you watched Cantrell break that basic safety rule, correct?
I mean, I didn't see the best of it, but it did look.
you didn't see what?
I didn't see the best glance of it.
You didn't see the best.
Glance of it.
You didn't see the best.
Glance of it.
You just see it.
I viewed it,
A
but-
partial glance.
Yeah, I mean, I walked in, there was nothing, I didn't see the whole thing.
Now, on May 28th, 2022, you were in the gun range?
Yes, I was.
You were in stock 3 during this incident?
Yes, just me and
Now, the safety course,
Just, you know, I did just you and who?
the 3 people who were running and engaging.
Okay.
the safety course, they took place in stall 11.
Yes,
That's approximately 30 feet away from where you were positioned.
roughly.
Now, during the demonstration, you believe that Carbo was crowding Cantrell?
It looked like that to me. Yeah.
But you never mentioned this to anyone?
I mean, I didn't want to budge in. That's there's a of course they were running.
No, you heard 2 gunshots that day?
Oh yeah, too much.
That was unusual, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Typically, demonstrating how to fire a gun only requires 1 shot.
Yes, I've heard it so many times. I've seen it so many times.
Now, you saw the handgun fall at the same time that Carbo fell to the floor, isn't that right?
Yes, it all kind of just happened together.
Carbo fell to the floor after the second gunshot?
Yes.
You think Carbo flinched after the first shot?
I observed Carbo flinch after.
However, during the safety course, you weren't listening very close.
I did listen, but it wasn't very good. Yes,
You were wearing hearing protection, isn't that right?
that is true, but it was more on range.
No, you weren't watching very closely either.
It's still in my peripheral vision, so I still saw it, but you could say it was slightly obscure, but
You didn't have the best view since it was in your peripheral vision, isn't that correct?
yeah, but I was still, well, I wasn't on the plane, I was shooting.
That's a yes.
Yes,
Now, you simply can't testify with any degree of certainty what happened during that safety course.
Yes, that's true, but I did see what I saw.
That's a yes.
Yes,
And this is because you were 30 feet away looking through your peripheral vision.
I mean, 2020 vision, I'm pretty sure you can see from 30 feet away. You turn,
Respectfully, you were not paying attention fully to the safety first, were you?
not all eyes, but I did see the range of motion, everything happened.
That's what you think you saw, but you couldn't say that with 100% certainty, could you?
Mostly.
That's not an answer, like a yes or no. Could you testify with 100% certainty?
Yes, I apologize. Sure.
Not for the question.
Council,
Makes sense.
at a moment. You done with this witness?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, defense,
The defense calls Jackie Staff to the stand.
oh, 2 minutes? Okay, yes. Yes, 15 minutes. Okay. Hold on 1 second, miss. You ready? All right. Defense,
The defense calls Jackie Staff to the stand.
when you're on the oath.
Please introduce yourself to the board.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Stahl.
What is your job?
I work as a fireman and tool examiners at Random Business, Dog Examiners LLC.
Do you have any experience with handling firearms?
After I graduated from the United States Military Academy, I served in Iraq for 7 years. Not to brag, but I qualified as an expert pistol shot. I also got my firearms safety certificate from the Bureau of Department of Justice and the U.S. Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Did you render an opinion in today's case with Staff?
Yeah, I did.
Did did you use sufficient facts in writing that opinion of today's case?
Yes, I did.
And are all the opinions you will give us today under a degree of firearm safety mechanics?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves to enter in Dr. Stoff as an expert in the field of firearm mechanics and safety.
No objection.
I'm sorry. Okay, well, explain. No objection. Okay. Proceed.
How was Drew Cantrell fit to handle firearms and teach safety?
Objection, not found.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Why do you think Drew Cantrell was fit to handle firearms?
Well, Drew Cantrell has been handling firearms since they were very young, and they also have been working at Shooting Star then for about 2 years. And they also had a firearms safety certificate issued by the Imperial Department of Justice.
Would you recognize the certificate?
Yes, I would.
Let the record reflect that I'm approaching the opposing counsel for the P1 Exhibit 19. No, I believe you already know what the thing is. What can you tell me about this exhibit?
It's a copy of Drew Cantrell's firearms safety certificate.
How does this certificate demonstrate Drew Cantrell's ability to handle firearms safely?
It shows that Drew Cantrell met the qualifications demonstrated by the Imperial Department of Justice, and therefore they trust Drew Cantrell to teach firearms safety lessons. Therefore, Shooting Star should also be able to trust Drew Cantrell to teach firearms as well.
How else has Drew Cantrell demonstrated their ability to handle firearms safely?
Drew Cantrell has conducted hundreds of firearms safety trainings in television.
And let's move out to how the firearm safety lesson was conducted on May 20th. What is standard practice when firing?
Industry practice when firing a gun is to have a firm, steady grip. No flinching or twitching is typically allowed.
Why is this important?
Well, if you were to not have a firm, steady grip, then instead of have a relaxed grip, it would cause the recoils from the shot to become unmanageable, which would inadvertently possibly cause disease.
This stop, how can you infer that Drew Cantrell did not flinch on the day of May 20th?
When conducting my research, I found that one of the eyewitnesses, Avery Lynn, said that they saw no directional changes prior to the firing of the firearm, as well as Drew Cantrell also stated that they believe they did not flinch prior to firing the firearm, and they also had the most experience in that room at the time as they held that firearm safety certificate, and no one else in the room.
Let's move to the entrustment of the firearm to a justice department. Now, how can individuals and companies such as Shooting Star examine their customers to see if they are able to sell them?
Typically, when a firearms seller is selling to a customer, they'll question them on their past experiences with firearms, their knowledge of firearms, and if they've ever fired firearms before, to be able to tell what type of firearm they should be able to sell to a customer, or if they would need training sessions to become fit to own a firearm.
Did Shooting Star question Justice Sparkle?
During my research, I found that Skylar Coleman did conduct a investigation with Justice Cargo to determine if they were fit to own a firearm, and they found that Justice Cargo was a less experienced firearm user.
What firearm did Skylar Coleman recommend to Justice Cargo as a result of this information?
Skylar Coleman recommended a Glock 22, which is known as a more beginner-friendly gun.
Why do you think the Glock 22 is a beginner-friendly?
Well, firstly, it has a less heavy trigger. It also has a seeking mechanism, and it's very easy to navigate. If I were conducting the sale, I would have chosen the exact same firearm as Skylar Coleman did.
This stop, what would make the sale of a firearm to Justice Carbo have involved selling a firearm that was not close to Justice Carver's ability. But due to the fact that the Glock 22 is a beginner-friendly gun and Justice Carver is a less experienced firearm user, the sale was not recommended.
And how did Shooting Star ensure that Justice Carver would be able to handle the firearm properly?
They offered her safety.
And did Shooting Star offer these courses?
Prior to the sale of a firearm, for any customer, an experienced customer and a less experienced customer, Shooting Star on every sale offers a free complimentary firearms course to make sure that their users are well prepared to own and operate a firearm.
Based on this information, do you think the sale of a firearm to Justice Carver was reckless or unintended?
I do not believe the sale was reckless due to the fact that Scarlett Coleman asked the appropriate questions and determined the appropriate type of firearm to sell to Justice Carver, and they also sold the appropriate type of firearm to Justice Carver and applied substitute training to that sale as well.
Taking into consideration everything we talked about today, what is your expert conclusion to this?
I believe that Shooting Star should have been able to hire and proceed through Cantrell as an employee, and they should have been allowed to continue to teaching firearm safety lessons. I also believe that the sale of Justice Carver fit within industry practices due to the fact that questioning did take place and also the appropriate type of firearm was sold.
No further questions, Ron.
Please.
May I proceed? Ms. Staub, you indicated that my client, Justice Carver, was an inexperienced user in firearms. However, you are aware that my client has never once touched a gun before in her life.
Yes.
And you also realize that Shooting Star Gun Club sold the gun to my client before having given the firearm safety course.
Yes, but they offered the safety course.
So that was, yes.
Yes.
And you agree that if a firearm is not handled properly, accidents can happen.
Yes.
This is why a safety course should be properly conducted with proper preparation.
Yes.
They should be taught by safety instructors that are qualified to do so.
Yes.
They should be familiar with the firearms they demonstrate.
Yes.
And you are aware that Drew Kenshall had never fired the Glock 22 before.
Drew Kenshall has fired on multiple types of firearms before.
However, excuse me, Ms. Staub, but my question was whether or not Drew Kenshall had fired the Glock 22.
I cannot testify to if Drew Kenshall had fired the Glock 22.
And you also are aware that all firearms operate differently.
I am aware, yes.
They have different recoil,
Yes.
different triggers.
Yeah.
And it's a firearm instructor's responsibility to check each firearm before they have the course.
Yes, it's a very important part of the safe firearm safety course. Yes.
It is also their responsibility to indicate this information to the students taking the course.
Yes, I believe this is a fundamental principle.
And yet you aren't aware of any time that Drew Kenshall during this course told this to his students.
During this course, Drew Kenshall did describe the proper safety principles to the students and even demonstrated them himself.
However, he did not mention anything about the workings of these specific guns.
I believe if the training session would continue,
So that would be a
I believe if the safety session would have continued, Drew Cantrell would have further described the mechanics of the firearm.
prior to this, we did not.
Yes, but in prior safety courses conducted, Drew Cantrell had done that before.
The Glock 22 is a semi-automatic handgun, correct?
Yes, it is.
And a semi-automatic gun cannot be fired without the trigger being.
Yes, that's true.
This specific Glock 22 is a gun that is widely known to have a light trigger.
Yes.
And as a qualified safety instructor, Drew Cantrell should have known this.
Yes, Drew Cantrell should have been aware of that.
No further questions.
I'm going to adjourn. Based on your research, Ms. Staub, how do you determine that
Drew Cantrell had conducted these safety lessons adequately in the past. Drew Cantrell had conducted hundreds of safety lessons without issue, and this is because many customers have reported that they felt that Drew Cantrell had adequately prepared them to handle firearms and also be able to use firearms. And for the guns that Drew Cantrell used in these safety courses, the same level as the gun that Drew Cantrell was using in the safety course on the 28th. Drew Cantrell has offered safety courses on a wide variety of guns, on that specific instance, it was an inner level gun. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, you may be seated. Okay. Defense.
The defense rests our case in chief, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Good, this particular point in time. Time for closing off. So, we'll let you take a couple minutes. And then
One of the things that we want to request a 10-minute recess.
The defense will be amenable to a break, but we'd like to shorten it to 5 minutes. We want to be conscious of all lost time.
well, it's give you 7. Okay. The court will be in recess for 7 minutes.
Five minutes, 7 seconds. And 7 seconds.
Oh, 7 seconds. I read this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cost is so.
Yeah, Megan needs to shorten. Brian needs to shorten. That's my
And then
And remember, Sixty seconds. Take it to What? 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
You did just say time's up, right?
Essentially, yeah, I will.
No, but I don't know if I should leave the judge is my question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because the rest of them are minute by minute. So, yeah. Because it hadn't gone to 5. Yeah, it's 5:07.
Yeah, so if they were all no about that. Then they could do part. They don't have then they have like thing. No.
Oh, I think, oh my God.
That's one when it's like set the countdown, you can't hold it down and put out the minute.
Like,
They hear after you're done?
Yeah. I'm like betting.
I go somewhere else.
They guys don't want to go bad.
I doubt it.
Wait,
I don't know. I hadn't heard anything about it. Oh, God. Oh.
Lot to experience. Yes. You guys have a whole neighborhood.
Time is up.
We're good for the closing argument.
40-second session.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Okay. So. Kind of. Ready?
Mr. Allen, I would first like to request permission for my time to relocate to the woods stand. Before I begin, I would also like to request 45 seconds for rebuttal.
Say 45 seconds.
Okay, please the court. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In pursuit of safety, she found herself at the wrong end of the room. In today's case, we've seen the fear that the victim Justice Carver had to endure. Constant fear of being in danger and multiple break-ins. In her search, she came across Shooting Star Gun Club, a company that boasted their safety. And yet when Shooting Star Gun Club entrusted her into the hands of Drew Cantrell, he Cantrell shot her in the leg. Her lost her mobility, the quality of life, and the ability to do what she wants to do. All because of a company that doesn't prioritize safety in the way that they pretend to. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, say we as the plaintiff walked into trial with a burden. This burden was approved to you by a preponderance of the evidence, meaning more likely than not. Shooting Star Gun Club was negligent in the hiring, supervision, and or retention of Drew Cantrell, and that this negligence caused the harm to Justice Carver. We already know that Shooting Star Gun Club hired Drew Cantrell. Yet we brought before you witnesses who testified to Drew Cantrell's incompetence and unfitness. Posted all throughout Shooting Star Gun Club was this safety, detailing the most basic safety rules. We brought before you Dr. Morgan Judd who testified how these safety rules, those basic industry standards of safeguarding, the bare minimum, that you heard again and again and again. And Drew Cantrell wrote these rules. Ladies and gentlemen, first we brought before you Ross Hernandez, along with the defense's own witness, who testified to seeing Drew Cantrell point a gun at an unarmed person. Ross Hernandez also told you, along with Drew Cantrell's own testimony, how she brought a loaded gun out of the gun range and into the gun, breaking even more safety. Shooting Star Gun Club was completely aware of all of these things. And yes, they did nothing. You saw the memorandum that Scarlett Coleman sent to Drew Cantrell that detailed these incidents. And yet she didn't think it was of employees. And I think it was a big deal, demonstrated her disregard for the safety of others. And on May 28th, Drew Cantrell's incompetence caused the harm to Justice Cargill. And the moments leading up to the incident, Drew Cantrell continued to act unsafely. She did not inspect the gun being shot. She did not ensure that it was safe to use. She was not familiar with the mechanics of it and wasn't unfamiliar with the light trigger that was likely to be on the gun. She was not aware of her surroundings, and in that moment, when she shot the gun and negligently tightened the grip on the gun and flinched, she shot Justice Cargill in the leg, ruining her life forever. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have to convince you that more likely or not, Shooting Star Gun Club violated imperial law by recklessly selling and entrusting a gun to someone who is unfit to safely own or use that gun. Shooting Star Gun Club would have sold Justice Cargill that gun with no license, no certification, absolutely no training. They didn't even offer, Star Club didn't even offer Drew Cantrell Justice Cargill a safety course, just as they never offered one to Adrian. Justice Cargill had zero, no knowledge of that. And Shooting Star Gun Club trusted them to safely use a weapon that they had no knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, it is up to you to look at the facts and evidence that we've provided you with. Come to a verdict. A verdict: the whole Shooting Star Gun Club liable for the negligence and hiring of Drew Cantrell. One that holds them responsible for the physical and emotional harm inflicted upon the Justice Cargill. One that advocates for the protection of those seeking. They're confident that you will return a verdict that holds Shooting Star Gun Club. In pursuit of safety, they placed him in front of the board waiting to be.
May it please the court, Your Honor, opposing counsel, and members of the jury. Don't jump the gun. Members of the jury, today you have heard the narrative of both Justice Cargill and Shooting Star LLC. Now today, plaintiff wanted you to believe that Shooting Star was liable for the injury of Justice Cargill. They had to prove to you today by the preponderance of the evidence, which means more likely than not, that Shooting Star was reckless in the sale of hiring Drew Cantrell and reckless of entrustment of firearm safety, which they failed to do today. The defense bore a different burden. The ones of affirmative defenses. One, of comparative fault, and two, assumption of risk. Today, Justice Cargill was brought to the stand, and they talked about the injury that they experienced. Yet Justice Cargill walked into the gun club on their own accord. They came and they signed that waiver. They read the rules and they were given the training that they needed. Today, you also heard from Ross Hernandez. But in reality, they're only here to talk about how they don't like Drew Cantrell. They're biased towards them. And how they weren't even at the scene or didn't even see anything of today's case. And today, you also heard from Dr. Morgan Judd, who really just wanted to further her own bias of gun violence. Now, today, you heard from the defense's 3 witnesses. And they talked about, all their witnesses talked about how the bump they saw today in the case. All the witnesses claimed how Justice Cargill saw Justice Cargill bumped into Drew Cantrell, which was the reason why he got shot. Which also was the reason how this case came forth today. The defense had all their witnesses and the evidence to prove that Shooting Star was not reckless in the hiring of Drew Cantrell. They gave every single customer the training that was complimentary. And you heard today from even the expert on the defensive side how Drew Cantrell was in fact qualified. Drew Cantrell had the exact same certificate as the expert on the plaintiff did. And you also heard from Drew Cantrell herself how they had the experience before even obtaining the firearm certificate. And that is why you should come before today and find how the defense is not liable for the reckless environment and hiring of Drew Cantrell, or the reckless sale of entrusting Drew Cantrell in a gun. When Justice Carbo came to the gun club in her own accordance, when she was given the opportunities to further her experience, when she was given a gun that was mainly used and common for beginners. And you should find that people make mistakes. Yes, that is true. People are reckless sometimes. That is true. But that was not the case today. Drew Cantrell was not reckless. And that is why you should find Shooting Star LLC not liable.
It is the point. No. That is the defense that our opposing counsel has brought before you. And yet all throughout today's trial, all that you have seen is Drew Cantrell's lack of purpose, their failure to inspect the gun, their failure to prepare sufficient for the safety. It was Drew Cantrell in today's case who jumped the gun. How could Justice Carbo have known how safe the court should work? How should Justice Carbo have known how guns work? There were no answers. It was the job of Shooting Star Gun Club to inform them of this, to inform them of the risk, to inform them of Drew Cantrell. It's 40 years and they not to attend if it is applied.
Council, thank you very much for your presentation, for your advocacy. Time people leave. Don't trip on that. They don't have any insurance.
I won't. Another case.
Councils, thank you for your passion and your advocacy, your preparation, your knowledge of the law, your familiarity with your witnesses, and the direction you wanted them to go, and your insistence on getting the answer that you sought from your question. The repeated demand as to whether or not it is a yes is important because it keeps folks, the witnesses, from floundering and manipulating the situation and telling their own story. It is your story. You are the lawyers. It is you who is telling the story. You are telling the story, and you have to direct your witnesses in the way that you need them to go. So I find the work to be excellent that you presented. So everybody's a winner today. Not the conclusion that the jury will come to that determines whether or not you have done a good job. You have done a good job. Hold on one second, Joe. So, jury, you need the I know you can tell. You don't need the court to repeat or the instructions that you have them already.
No name.
We would love to put names of the council members. the actual name.
The actual names of the council.
Yeah, we're supposed to pick like the people who performed the best,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have
Or
a
you
roster of who's
taking
who.
notes and it's like.
I mean, I don't like their character names, but I don't.
Okay, so then why don't you guys introduce yourselves specifically? Okay, everybody stand up. One at a time and slow down because we've got it right. So, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like us to start and
Yes,
just go down?
from,
Hello, my name is Mariana Moronza.
give us more volume, please.
Volume. My name is Mariana Moronza.
And where are you from?
Lancaster.
Where?
We're from Lancaster.
Just keep it to the name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like not more time crunch here.
Got a time punch there.
No, it's just so like location doesn't influence
Uh,
the jury at all. Like, so
okay,
just your
okay.
name. And like, so don't say your school, just
Okay.
name.
Hi,
Hello, my name is Vanessa Grant.
Hello, my name is Elena Abraham. Hello, my name is Hannah Rebecca. Hello, my name is Courtney Shawball.
Hello, my name is Megan Fung.
Hello, my
okay,
name is.
I didn't move too fast, I mean.
I was, I see.
Oh, you see, it, you see it. Okay, we have witnesses in the back, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Scarlett Jacobson. Hi, I'm Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Giselle Seth.
Hi, I'm Maggie O'Connor.
Okay, but we had, what Drew?
So she was a guest witness, so she returned to her own team.
Okay, but what was her name?
She
You don't
didn't
know?
give it to me.
She didn't give it to you?
No.
It should be.
Yeah.
You got it? Okay. So, Joe, I see you.
Yeah, like once they committed to the school. Like once they submitted.
Joy, what are you doing today? Joy, what-
Hi, Japan.
Hi, people, you were good.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Campbell, Grissom.
Kimball.
Grissom.
There's some.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
How are you?
Oh, not sorry.
Scared me.